Hey guys, today I want to bring you a review for the FabFilter Pro Q2. I want to go over the features and in general what I think and if it's worth a buy or not. And yeah, let's get to it. Just going to do an audio channel to get it inside. So there it is, the FabFilter Pro Q2. It's from FabFilter, as I said, and it's a company which is famous for bringing innovative things like the Twin. I remember the Twin being a rather innovative synthesizer for its time. It was a VST plugin. Pastor John used it a lot, he told me. Anyway, let's get into the features and what makes this equalizer outstanding. First of all, you don't have the Q points limited or set. You could use as many as you want. That is a good thing and a bad thing, because people tend to overdo things. They just tend to do too much because they have infinite possibilities. For more experienced users though, it's absolutely no problem to have that much, because they normally won't do that. So you can draw those dots and then you can just like choose different low cuts, shelves, notch and different filter types, and then you can dynamically change the octave, the decibel per octave that is reducing or boosting. And I remember the FabFilter Pro Q1 was already really good. All the concept was there already and it blasted the competition out of the water, and so does the Pro Q2. It's the best equalizer for more clinical work in my opinion, and it's worth the money, absolutely, and it's worth what they ask. FabFilter is such a good company. I think you should support them by buying their products. And let's go a little bit over the features. First of all, it has a frequency analyzer built in. So if I go out here and just quickly add a synthesizer. And the frequency analyzer is built in per default. Here you can change what it's showing before and after the equalization, or both. And you can set the range and you can set the resolution and so forth according to your processing power that you have on your rig. So that's the analyzer. Really handy and really cool that they set it to the default, so you always have a representation. And I don't give a lot of attention to analyzers most of the time, but sometimes they can come in handy for sure. So really neat analyzer that you can deactivate or activate as you please. Then you can set to stereo or mid-side, left, right or mid-side. And you can change the phasing behavior. Linear phase obviously will take a little bit more processing power, but we live in ages of almost infinite amounts of power. For most people, let's say like that. Most people have pretty powerful PCs. Maybe I'm a little bit like connecting to what I have, but yeah, we live in times where it's pretty easy to obtain an i7 or an i5. So normally you shouldn't have any problem with setting those things on there. Pretty effective. I can have projects with up to 100 or 200 fab filters. I could have even more and it's still running fine. So it's the optimization seems to work very nicely. What they changed from the FabFilter Pro Q1, first of all, they overhauled the UI a little bit without sacrificing any of the good features that it had already. And they added steeper filter curves. So instead of a max of 48 decibel per octave, now we have filters that are extremely steep and do a 96 decibel per octave cut. It's extremely handy for certain things. You don't have to use it all the time. There are many occasions where you will be fine with a 12 decibel per octave or 24 per decibel per octave cut, but sometimes you need those harsh cuts and you want to really make it dead from a certain point off, so then you need those 96 decibel per octave settings. Really cool. And then here, let's imagine we have a sound that we are equalizing and we have a bunch of them. We could just select one, disable them. It will not delete them, but disable them. That gives us a very nice option to A/B stuff, and precisely A/B stuff. Only A/B, for example, this curve, you know, only this filter will get A/B instead of the whole thing. But you can also do proper A/Bs. Here you have an A/B, so you can make an equalization from a baseline, for example, and then you decide, oh, it's starting to sound a little bit flat and a little bit dull, so let's have a look at how it was at the beginning and start all over again and make a more reduced version of what I did now and A/B it. And I use that quite often, to be honest, the A/B option of the equalizer, and I really like it. The next thing what we have is undo and redo. Nothing much to say about undo and redo. If you don't know what undo and redo does, then you have a problem. No, you can just check it out on Google, but yeah, self-explanatory. Okay, with MIDI, I'm not doing a lot with MIDI. I'm not going into detail. Probably you can steal some stuff over MIDI data, but yeah. Then you have a bunch of presets, which I don't use. Straight answer there, sorry, but who uses like VST presets? The only occasion where I use a VST preset is in the equalizer is when I master stuff. The first step what I do is actually preset with a linear EQ, low band stereo EQ, but that's it. So not really useful. Then, as you could see in the beginning of the video, we have the full screen option, and the full screen option is very cool. It's not just like a useless feature, no, not at all. You could use it on a touchscreen, and you could have it on your master or whatever, or yeah, just have it standalone, even running standalone, and you have it on a touchscreen and you can just like control it with the touchscreen. As you can see, the interface is absolutely as if it would have been built, or they had it in mind, kind of like touch controls. They must have had it in mind. It's fantastic to see it working so well in a mouse and keyboard environment, because I know it's working fantastic on touchscreen devices, or not on touchscreen devices, but touchscreen panels. And I guess that's about it. Yeah, I think we have gotten through all the features. So my conclusion about the thing, well, it's the best equalizer out there when it comes to restoring, mastering, but also general purpose. I don't use the Cubase stuff. Instead of that, I use only the FabFilter stuff. It's just like my go-to point when I want the equalizer. It's really hardwired in my brain. FabFilter, Pro Q2, and there you go. I do it like 500 times a month. So I prefer them instead of the Cubase ones. So the reason is more feedback, more options, 96 decibel per octave if I want it, linear phase, etc, etc, etc. The analyzer, it's just like this whole array and this special approach that I had. I wouldn't know any equalizer that has this, you know. Like, let's have a look at one that is similar in a way from Waves. Here, this is a very classical one, and here you can see how limited we would be in comparison. We have all those dots, but we can't delete them, and we can't change them. We can change them from, let's say, notch to bell or something like that. That's just not possible. And all those neat little extra features are just not there. Basically, it's the same kind of equalizer, but it's missing all those advanced next-gen features. FabFilter was really putting it on the next level there. That's what they did. And this is something to achieve as a producer of any program or anything, is to bring a whole thing to the next level. As a musician, as a literate, as an artist, or as a producer of software, it would be the same. So if you compare those two, yeah, no question, I will take this. They will do the same thing. If I do this here, and if I do this here, and I have the Q and the frequency set on the same thing, and it's doing a 24 decibel cut, and here a 24 decibel cut, they will do the same thing. The FabFilter Pro Q2 is just doing it in a much more nice way. And that's it. Buy it. If you don't have it, buy it. It's one of the absolutely essential tools to have. There are some essential tools that every producer needs to have, and there are very few. It's a compressor, it's an equalizer, it's a reverb, it's a delay. That's plugins that every producer needs. Is a stereo imager as well, and saturation. And it comes down to those things, you know, like people always expect magic in music production. It comes down to very few tools, and you can go and buy infected mushrooms, super special, whatever mastering, one knob mastering tool, but in the end it comes even down to the same things again. When you get a tool like this, it's just like parallel processing, but the same things, you know. There is no mystical stuff going on in music production. So it's absolutely a buy. Get the equalizer as fast as possible if you don't have it. If you have the FabFilter Pro Q1, I would recommend an upgrade, no doubt. It's worth it. So that's my review for the FabFilter Pro Q2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like on the video. If you didn't, leave a dislike, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews and tech stuff, and as well tutorials. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.